Alright, so for this video, I'm just gonna talk about how to quickly model a feather inside of Maya. Now, the first and most important thing we need to do is we need to find a feather alpha map. So in this case, I just went on Google and Google feather alpha map, and there's not actually that many good ones. So I just found this one here that looks serviceable, but you also can make your own inside of Photoshop, but this is a lot easier. So this is the picture I chose, and if you guys are following this specific tutorial for feather, I will upload this image as part of the tutorial file. All right. So, turn the grid back on here. To make a feather, first I'm just going to make a little cylinder here, and maybe I'll rotate it maybe up to the front, like this. Rotate it sideways or downward, I guess. I don't know. Scale it down and long like this. Okay. And I'm gonna go into the channel box here, input, and in the subdivision height here, instead of 1, I'm going to put in something like, let's do 10. Sure. Okay. And just going to go to the edge here. Oops, sorry, soft selection was on. Grab the tip, hit B, turn on soft selection, and grow it a little bit. Part of it here, and just scale this down until it's a very tiny point. The tips of the feathers are pretty small. So I could have probably grown this a little bit more, but let's call that a day for now. So if you hit 3, it's nice and smooth and the tip gets very small. Next thing I'm going to do is just make a plane, scale it big, and scale it like, I guess it depends on the kind of feather. Now I do know that feathers, I can turn off the grid now. You don't, you want it to envelop the tip of this a little bit like that, and that's going to be it for our plane. All right, and maybe it could be a little wider and maybe a little longer. We can adjust this later on. All right, let's call it good for now. Okay, yeah. So I'm going to select my plane here. I'm going to go to the top view, right? Go to UV in the option box for planar. Let me do that again real quick. Planar option box. Make sure the camera is checked on and keep image width and height ratios checked on. Click apply or project, doesn't matter. Close. So now if I go to my UV, there's my UV for the feather. Okay, cool. Now in order to see this feather in action, now that we have our UV, just select I'm just going to select like this is, I guess, the feather part, right? And that's the spine. I'm going to assign it a new material, Arnold, AI standard surface, right? And here I'm going to rename it to AI feather. And in the material attribute editor, you will see geometry tab here, and you'll see opacity, right? So you crank it, it goes black and white. White means it's visible, black means it's not. So I'm going to crank it to white, check this little checker box here, go to File, Image Name, click on that, go to where you have your feather file here. In this case, it's in my download folder, but we should be using, we should be putting our textures in your source images folder, right? If you have a project set up. Feather alpha, click open, and it's going to show up. If I hit 6, there it is, but obviously the image is like upside down, so easy. One thing you can do is you can literally just take this and move it down, so now it's the right way, right? Or you can also just rotate this image in Photoshop or in your, I can rotate it here, really, like that, save it out. I should have probably done that. So make sure you do that before you import it. But if it's like that, the easiest way to fix this, if you're already inside of Maya, it just rotate the UV, hold down J, just rotate it. There you go. Now it's the right side up. Additionally, you can also just select your UV show, go to modify and flip vertical. Right now it's the right side up. Doesn't matter which way, how you want to do it, just as long as you know that it's upside down, right? Okay, so now we have our feather upside down, or right side up, I guess. And one thing I'm noticing is the feather here, our quill. Well, the image of the feather. If I move this to the side here so we can all see, it includes the quills. We don't want the quill to be in there because the quill is out here. I hope that makes sense. So in my UV here, I'm going to scale it down. And notice when I scale it down, the feather goes out of sight, right? So if I scale it again, like something like this, I can reposition where the feather is on my image here. Maybe something like this, perhaps, will work. And scale it down just a little because at the top it's clipping out a little bit. There you go. And if it's too long or too wide, you can scale it. Maybe not too much just to see how the quill is going to be visible there. So maybe something like that. And I might move it over to the side a little bit to line up that spine a little bit better. There you go. Okay. So there is my feather. And if you want to see it actually working, go to Renderer, Viewport 2.0, Settings, and in here, in the transparency algorithm, change it from object sorting to alpha cut. Boop. Now, the moment I change it to alpha cut, like most of the feather disappear, right? And only kind of like the white part remains. And that is because our feather is like mostly gray. And only the most opaque white part will show up. So again, alpha cut, right? So I'm going to add a light in here so we can see it. So now if I render this, it's going to look terrible. Like it just like the quill, it shows up and nothing else, right? So I'm going to select my feather, delete history, so I don't see anything else. AI feather, and here I'm going to, in opacity, this is where we plugged in that alpha map, right? Click on this. And one thing I'm going to do is in sRGB, I'm going to change it from sRGB to raw. Click on this to the raw. And immediately we can see a little bit more of our feather. And then another thing we're going to do is check on alpha is luminance. And then under exposure, we're just going to crank that up a little bit. And you can kind of play with this a little bit, like, you know, if you can, and you know, like the most at 100, it's going to be super opaque. I kind of don't like that. So I'm not going to reduce it a little bit here. Just a little bit, right? Maybe there. So now if I render again, you see the feather there. I'm going to add an HDR to my light here so we can see it a little bit better. Photoshop here. There you go, so we can see that feather a little better. There you go. All right, so that looks pretty good. Next thing I'm gonna do, select my feather, and right under opacity, I also have a bump map node right here. So I'm gonna select checkerboard, click on File, and then in bump value, click on this little icon right here. I'm also going to load in that alpha feather alpha, sorry. Click open, auto save, why not? So the bump value loaded in, and now you have bumps on your feather. Looks a lot better, right? So at this stage, you're basically done. You know, you can hit 3, smooth that out, and there's your sort of smoothed out little quill there. You can assign a material for this. as well. It's gonna make it, yeah, it's the inner surface as well. Make it match, right? Um, you can do subsurface scattering, turn that up a little bit, nice and soft. Whatever you want to do. Turn up subsurface scattering for this too. Why not? Right, whatever. And then the last thing is coloring. So color, you can find a picture of a feather that has the color that you want, or you can do. For me, I'm gonna show you guys another way to do this is under color, right? Of course, you change the color there. But if you click on this, again, if you click on file, that if you have an image that you want to use, you can use that. But instead, I'm going to use ramp. Okay, so ramp is black to white. So if I drag that up, see how I see that? And I'm actually going to turn off subsurface scattering here because the subsurface scattering is making it not visible. There you go. Color. So you drag it down, you see it becomes black. So that's a nice little gradient. So you can, black to white. You can click on this node. You can change the color of it to, let's say, brown. Drag it down a little. If you have multiple color, you can click on here and it'll add another color. So if you want it black, like that, you can, right? So that's pretty cool. So that's your feather, and you can do the same thing to the quill as well. But that is it for the feather. And I think that was pretty good. The last thing you can do, I'm gonna pause there. Last thing you can do is just grab them both here, delete history of both of them, put them in a group, and you can try to. Actually, you might want to combine them. You can do the lattice tool, but I think that might be a little more complex. So you can try to, instead of putting them in a group, just combine them. Mesh, combine, right, delete history. So now it's all just one mesh. Vertex, grab this guy. Change it from surface to volume over in the modeling toolkit. Soft surface selection, volume, grab some of that feather, just start bending it, and maybe grow this out a little more. Right, move it down. Yeah, and I know if for some of you guys, if you want to model like a quill instead of this, then make sure you give this guy a little bit of a oops, sorry, like this sort of thing, right? So it's like a quill instead, right? Then you can just, I don't know, rotate it up a little. And there you have it. And then, you can also do a little more if you want, like just a little bit more, twist it a little bit there. So there you go. There's your feather. And let's render it one last time, see how it looks. And that looks okay. I think maybe it's a little bit too shiny, so you can go in and tweak the roughness so it's not as shiny. Maybe it's too high. I don't know. But yeah, so that's it. Thanks for watching, and I hope this is helpful.